Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Handyman Graham, and today we're gonna make one of your all-time favorite projects, an awesome room divider. Today, I'm making a room divider for Maya. Alexandra really wanted a room divider for Maya's space, and she was looking at a couple different options online and came across this seemingly simple product. But in order to get the room divider the size that we wanted, it would have cost around $8,000. So Alexandra asked me if I could make it for cheaper, and of course I said, yeah. I'm gonna be using some more like approachable products such as plywood rather than solid wood. I'm gonna try really, really hard to make it look as expensive as possible. Hey guys, it's day one of building Maya's room divider. I haven't drawn it on paper yet, but I do know I have to get material for it. Nolan and I are gonna run over to Exotic Woods, which is like a local lumber supplier. We're gonna get some like higher quality plywood. Of course, you can do this project with regular plywood from your home improvement center. I'm not like saying you can't, but I just want this to look really, really good in Maya's space, so we're just gonna go for the higher end plywood. We're gonna hop in the car. Nolan's gonna come with. Nolan, say hi. Hello.
For some in the independence movement, this persistent frustration boiled over into awful acts of violence. In March of 1954,
Got the air on?
In the
Maybe?
university.
Hi, how are you? Good. Before I draw out this plan for the room divider, I'm going to make sure I can get this really high quality plywood that I have my eye on. It's called Baltic birch. It just has like so many more layers than your traditional plywood that you can get from your home improvement store. It'd just be so much more work to make that plywood look expensive. This is gonna be a lot more straight, a lot like better quality. We'll just try to be quick putting it in the back. Of course it's raining. It's been raining like every single week since March. So I packed a tarp just to cover the plywood to prevent it from getting wet. Nice. Perfect.
Oh, we're good?
Yeah. Okay, so we're unloading the plywood from the truck, and I'm actually able to see it in person for the first time. This is looking so good. Dry?
Yeah.
Pretty dry. Nice. Feeling confident going into this project, so now it's time to draw it out on paper. We've got a bunch of slats that we're gonna cut from a big piece of plywood. We just need to pick up some lumber for the floor mount and the ceiling. We need to pick up some pins to allow each individual slat to kind of swivel. A dowel so that it goes across the entire width of the room divider and allows you to swivel all the pieces at the same time. Okay, so we have the drawing. We know what we're gonna be doing. So I've got a small list of stuff, and now I just have to go to Home Depot to pick it all up. We're gonna pick up everything and then hopefully get a lot of this finished by the end of the day. Okay, what if you hopped on the front here? I feel like I have to get a photo of this. Oh my God, oh my God, sorry. The dowel's down here. I guess it doesn't really need to be a dowel, but a dowel would be nice, right? You know what might be kind of cool? Instead of one long dowel, two. So there's gonna be two dowels, so she can close half and keep the other half open.
Yeah, because sometimes you don't want it 100% dark.
You don't want 100%, yeah. Here's a pro tip. Ready? If you're buying dowels, like from the hardware store, they're always bent. So I'll grab a handful. I put them on the ground, so then I roll it. You see how much it flops around? No good. Okay, a little bit better, but green is naughty. No. Oh. You see that? That's a keeper. Keeper and keeper. Perfect. Okay, so like my initial idea is to like use these, what are these called? It's actually called a T-nut. These T-nuts, you hammer into the bottom and the top of the plywood panels. So you'd have this in the base, and you'd have this in the panel, and then it's metal on metal. Put like a washer in between, and then it's able to just rotate nice and easy. I'll pick up like 40 of them, I guess. And then like, how are they gonna rotate? Well, come down here. Oh, here. Oh my God. Boom. Okay, so that's gonna be our pin. It's gonna connect it all together. I'm gonna grab some of this, probably just mark 1-inch pins, cut them down. I think this is probably our best bet. We need wood for the base as well. Okay, 15 bucks for a 2x8. So I'm gonna try to find the straightest, less knotty piece. Oh, this is nice. It's a winner. Pretty chewed up on the sides, but I like the grain. Pretty much what I'm looking for is a nice straight piece of wood that doesn't have too many knots in it. This has a knot here. I'm gonna trim off this side, get rid of some material. I'm gonna end up with a piece that's about 4 inches wide, making sure there's no splits in it. I'll show you a bad piece. Yeah, this one's really knotty. See? You don't really want this. This wood's not really meant for like fine carpentry. It's mostly meant for like framing a room or a deck or something. See, this one's got a freaking hole in it. So that's kind of what you want to avoid, is big knot holes. But I think I'm happy with the pieces I got. So I just need some veneer for the base. Do you think that makes sense to veneer 2x4 that's already wood? So our ceilings are 7.5 feet tall, 2 sides per panel, 20 pieces-ish, 300 feet. This is so much extra work. Maybe we'll skip that step. Maybe we won't veneer the bottom. This is a way we can speed up this process. We can get this done today if we skip this step. We save $60 if we don't veneer the base. We save $100 if we don't veneer the sides. Okay, I'm not gonna veneer the sides. I think we can make this look really good without veneering. Yeah, I think that's all we need. So we'll go pay and then we'll head back to the workshop. Nice, success. Look at this haul. Nolan got the veneer. The veneer is not mine. Okay. I feel so much better about this DIY. If we had veneered the wood and the slats were edge banded, yeah, it would look money for sure. But like, we already just spent $300 there, and it would have been an extra $500 plus the plywood. So you're looking at $700 plus for this DIY. And we saved time, so I feel good about it. Okay, Nolan and I are back at the workshop, and we're gonna start to cut down the Baltic birch plywood. We have, I believe, 20 boards to cut, and we're cutting the plywood down into small 4-inch strips. Okay, so we have all of the strips cut down on the table saw. Now we have to sand the edges. We're not gonna be veneering these like we said at Home Depot. We're just gonna sand these down so that they're really nice and fresh looking. It is Baltic birch, so it's gonna look good regardless if it's veneered or not veneered. So Nolan is going to start sanding these with the belt sander, and then I'm going to move on to making the base. The beauty of using this Baltic birch is that it's already quite smooth and like sanded pretty well. So we just have to go in, sand the faces down. We're going in with a belt sander at 60 grit and working our way up to 120 grit sandpaper. We're gonna kind of like double team it. So I'm gonna move on to making the mounting bases for the floor and ceiling. So I'm cutting down the 2x6s using my miter saw and table saw, and I'm cutting like a little decorative chamfer edge using the table saw with a slightly angled blade. So the lumber is a little bit more rough than the plywood, so I'm going in with a belt sander at 60 grit and finishing it out with 120 grit sandpaper on the orbital sander. Okay, that was a lot of sanding. Let's say there's 20 pieces times 7.5 feet tall ceiling equals 150. So that's 150 feet per side. There's 4 sides to each slat times 4, so that's 600 feet of sanding that we had to do per grit, 2,400 feet. And then there's the base. It's probably like 3,000 feet, 0.56 miles, and it's 0.91 kilometers. Wow. So now the next thing to do is I'm gonna cut down every single slat so that they are roughly the same size. One thing that I came across when I was measuring at Maya's is that the floor and ceiling aren't completely parallel to each other. I measured every 6 inches to see how much the difference is between the floor and ceiling, and found that over the 7-foot expanse, it only really changes about a ½ inch. So I'm gonna cut everything down to the exact same length using my miter saw. And in order to incorporate that ½ inch gap, I'm just going to prop up the slats that need a little bit more height with just a couple washers underneath. Okay, so all the sanding's done. I'm gonna condition all the wood. This is just gonna allow the stain to kind of absorb into the wood grain a little bit better. This is the stuff. Rather than wipe it on, I'm gonna try rolling just because there's so much material to apply it to. Good morning, guys. It's Friday morning. I got a ton of work done yesterday. I got the boards to a really good spot. They were all cut to size, cut to length, sanded, wood conditioned. So now I have a to-do list, and the top of the to-do list is now drill pinholes. Then I have to cut the pins. So I'm thinking as I'm drilling the pinholes, Nolan can cut the pins to size. So I'm having Nolan cut down the metal dowel into 1.5 inch lengths, and these are gonna act as our pins that will connect the slats to the mounting brackets. For the pinholes in the slats, I'm gonna start with making a little jig. I'm gonna kind of like use some of these scrap pieces of wood that I have from cutting them down to length, and I'm gonna just make like a little like slip cover. So it just goes over the end of each slat. So it's just like a little cap that goes over the edge of the piece of wood. So I just put my drill through the hole, and it will line up perfectly center on every single board. So this is saving like a ton of time and effort trying to measure the exact center of each board. Whereas I took 5 minutes to build this, and I probably saved about an hour's worth of work. So for the bottom of the slat, I'm hammering in some T-nuts, and this T-nut is gonna come in contact with the T-nut on the bottom mounting bracket, and together, this is gonna decrease friction, but increase the overall durability. Now it's time to install the staples into the slats that the dowel is gonna connect to so that we can open and close the room divider, privacy screen, whatever you wanna call it, and that each slat will open simultaneously. I've created this little jig. There's a line here, and the idea behind this is that I line this up to the slat, and then I use my staple gun. I'll put the nose of the staple gun in the exact same spot every single time, and this is gonna raise up the staple gun off the surface of the slat, and it's gonna allow for the staple to kind of sit above, and I'm gonna fold it over, and that's gonna be like the metal clip that we can attach the dowel to. Okay, so Nolan is getting going on the stain. We created this like little custom mix of early American one coat, early American semi-transparent, and a little splash of red oak. We've created this little jig here. This allows us to stain all 4 sides. We're gonna apply the stain with a roller, and this just allows for a very nice and consistent coat of stain on the plywood there. We're not wiping the stain off. We're gonna allow it to really like sit on the surface, soak in over time. While Nolan is doing that, I'm just going to be putting the holes in the floor and ceiling mounts. Just doing a little 2-in-1 thing, just trying to get this done by the end of the day. And you'll notice here that I'm putting some painter's tape down on the wood. This just helps prevent tear out from when you're using the drill. If you ever use a drill, it kind of peels up the wood a little bit, and the tape trick just kind of keeps the wood pressed down so that you get nice, clean drill holes. Next, I'm hammering in some T-nuts into the base. It's just gonna give us like a nice surface for the slats to sit on that will just decrease friction. Okay, so everything's done, and I'm so excited to install this into Maya's apartment. Hi. So we're at Maya's right now, and it's install day. So we get to install this amazing room divider that we made. I think it's gonna be a pretty straightforward install. Nolan and I really figured out all the little kinks and stuff. Probably just use the laser line, line up those holes so that they're the same on the ceiling and on the floor. So we'll secure the bottom one first. Because the parquet floor is like perfectly laid down, it's perpendicular to the wall and everything, I'm gonna just line this up to the parquet floor. We want it to be as close to the bed as possible, right? We can use double-sided carpet tape on the bottom side of this, which will probably be like more than enough to hold it in place, because like the weight of the slats. The reason why I'm using it rather than like other types of double-sided tape is that it's very thin. It's not gonna add any height to this bracket. All right, so I'm just gonna flip it over and try to line it up as I'm sticking it down, keeping it butted against the wall. That looks pretty good. It's pretty strong already. That's the whole point. And then I'm just gonna put brad nails down just for peace of mind, but I don't think it's gonna be that necessary. I'm not too concerned about the holes in the floor because the floors themselves are pretty rough. Scratches, and there's already these dents here. I'm fine if I add 4 little brad nail holes. You won't ever know that they were there to begin with. Brad nails are just gonna make sure that it's like earthquake proof.
Even though we live in Ontario.
We get earthquakes sometimes.
We do?
So, yeah, 2010.
No.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Ring any bells?
So I'm gonna put the laser line lengthwise. I need to make sure that the hole on the bottom matches the hole on the top. So while they're gonna be in a straight line, I need to make sure that the top bracket holes line up with the bottom bracket holes. I'm just gonna draw a line on the painter's tape so that when I'm shifting it into place, I'll know this hole is exactly where that hole is. So I'm just gonna do like quick little pre-drill just to mark where the holes are. Just so that line matches up with this hole, I'm just gonna mark where this is. Just using the speed square. It's not exactly center, but it's fine. I mean, I know this tape looks really messy, but this tape line meets that line, and then we know that this hole is lined up with that hole. That's it. Shift it a little bit towards me.
Okay.
Yep.
There.
Nice. Okay. So my go-to anchor for concrete is actually not like a plastic anchor. It's these masonry screws. So these screws are meant for going into stone, brick, concrete. Yeah, you drill a small hole. Sometimes they come with a drill bit, which is really nice. And you just kind of crank it into place and it holds way better than a plastic anchor. I'm just gonna kind of sink these in a little bit and that will help me line it up to the hole. Okay, this is just gonna be a tester. I wanna make sure that this fits. So then I'm just gonna, there. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this pin in, just holding it in there with my thumb, right? And then to just drop into place. I think we'll get this done in like 5 minutes. Okay. Nice. That was easy. Boom. Sweet. So these dowels are gonna connect to the slats down here. I couldn't like pre-install this because it'd make the installation really hard. And so now I have to do it when all the slats are in place. I just have these staples, crown staples. Nolan's snipping off a little bit of the crown staple so that I can just pierce this. So let me just do that to each one. Then once it's in place, we hook on. Yes. See? So you split the dowel up into two so that if she's in bed, she can just shut this one off, but still let light through on this side. So I'm gonna do the other dowel now, and then we are all finished. Just have to wipe it down and clean it up. Look, half open, fully open, fully closed, fully open. Now it's my favorite part of the video where I get to talk about what I've learned, what I do differently. I spent way too much time working on another project, more time than I was allocated, and it really chewed into the time I had to work on this project. And so my tips for you guys is to look at your calendar more than 1 week in advance. Another thing that I learned too, and that I implemented in this project is while I had this vision for the project to make it look like solid wood because that's what the inspo photo was, because I was on a time crunch, I forced myself to kind of dial it back a little bit, but I was able to make it look just as good. And I'm still equally as happy with the way it turned out. The whole process like went pretty smoothly. I would love to know if you guys like choose to tackle a project like this in your own home, and please like feel free to reach out, DM me some photos, even if it was a little bit inspired by this, like it'd make me so happy. And make sure you hit that subscribe button because coming up, I have such a fun project. It's coming up next. Thanks for joining me. Hope you guys enjoyed the project and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.